So today we are, sorry, this keeps flashing at me every now and as soon as it comes on, it covers the screen so I can't see. Today is day 6, I believe, and we are talking about hamstrings. So beginning of this week, so Monday we did glutes, Tuesday, yesterday we did quads and hip flexors. Today we are doing back of the thighs, which is hamstrings. The majority of people today seem to have what we would deem as tight hamstrings, you know, from where we've been before to, I'm a 70s baby, so I was taught to sit up in chairs. We had to get our bums back in chairs. You know, everything we did was here. It was a little bit, and this is my personal opinion, so you can have your own, but I definitely feel that we had a little bit more emphasis on where we are sitting wise. Whereas I tend to see, and even with my kids today, I have no idea how they manage to sit, but they seem to sit on the back of their pelvis, which I can't even get my pelvis down, and they sit in this big C curve. Okay. Now, when you're thinking about your hamstrings, if I just go and grab a piece of strap, the hamstrings go from just above your tailbone to a sit bone, so you can see your sit bone, they attach just on the top, and they attach to the back of the knee. So what they do is they flex the hip, and they also extend the hip because the attachment above. Okay. Now, if you are in a tucked under position, so if my hamstring length is here and I'm tucked under, my hamstring gets tight because my length here to here is short. Whereas if my pelvis is high and I pull this way and I'm in that more tilted position, my stretch on my hamstring is a little bit more. So in a nutshell, what I'm basically saying is your pelvis position will affect your hamstring stretch. So your basic thing for hamstring length is, can you extend your leg when you're sitting up in a chair, like this, or like this? Or do you have to lean back to do it? Okay, so if you're having to curl and lean behind to do it, then what's happening is you're needing to tilt the pelvis to get the length in your hamstring. If you can stay upright and extend it, then your hamstring length is good. But if you're here, your hamstrings are a little bit on the tight side. Okay? The other thing that we talked about, or I have talked about in previous ones, is if you're leaning forward and you're tipping from the hips here, then you're having to use your hamstring length to do it. But if you're tipping from a curve and you can't get any further, then that's because of all the tightness is in your hamstrings. So we'll know, looking at you from a physio point of view, how you're moving and what's going on with you. Your basic would be, if you're sitting upright in the chair and you can maintain upright and extend the leg, you're probably relatively good. If you extend the leg and you have to lean back, then you probably have tight hamstrings. Same with this way here. If you're sitting and you can sit up and you can sit up tall with the legs here and your body up over your pelvis, then you've got decent hamstring length. But if you're having to lean back to get the legs straight, or to sit up tall, you have to bend your knee and you can't get them straight, then you probably do have tight hamstrings, yes. So what are stretches that you could do with them? This is easy stretch number 1. So this is one that most of us know. We sit on the floor, we have the leg up. We would generally have this foot out. Don't like the hurdle stretch, so the traditional one where you put your leg this way. Don't really like it because of your knee position. You can definitely do this. And you're trying to reach down the leg as far as you can. Trying to reach down the leg as far as you can. If you wanted to add on the stretch, you can have a strap around the foot, and we're using the strap around the foot. Take it right in, breathe out, ease forward. Okay. Your other option is to have a small rolled up towel under your knee, and you just try and decrease the amount of towel that's under your knee. So you might start with something here and your aim is to lower the leg down. If you were one of these that's in that tight position, that might be enough for you. That might be your stretch, and your roll lock is here. You take a layer out, you take a layer out, you take a layer out until you can reach down. Okay. The second way for you to do your stretches, if you're doing them both together, is to do them wide, and you're getting an inner thigh stretch at the same time, and again walking down till you can get your elbows on the floor. For those of us that can't, we just take a walk, flex and point the toes, take a walk, go a little bit further. If you let the toes flop, that's going to be a little bit easier for you, and you just keep that going until you feel you can get your elbows or as close to as you can. Okay? So they're two relatively easy ones to do. You could do it up on a table like I am and hang the leg. You could do it on the floor and reach. You can do it straddled and reach. So those ones would be your seated long stretches. Hamstring stretches that we do lying down would be using a strap. I think we might have done these on day 3 anyway with our little sequence. You can keep the leg bent if that's helping you to support your spine, and you just use a strap to take the leg up as far as you can and follow it down. Okay? Use the strap, take the leg up as far as you can and follow it down. From here, as you get the leg further up, you might choose to keep that leg straight to keep the pelvis. Because if you remember, we talked about some people might cheat and lift their pelvis up. So if you're finding you're inclined to cheat, that's when you'll want that leg further away. And I think we also talked about the toe being turned out, the toe being centre, and the toe being turned in, determining which slip of your hamstring muscle is being affected. So remember, we have 3 different hamstrings. We have the semitendinosus, the semimembranosus, and your biceps femoris, which are the different slits of your hamstring muscles that attach laterally on the knee or medially on the knee. Okay, and doing the lean in the different directions will mean affect where the stretch you feel is. So they're your basic ones. You also have your eccentric ones, which is coming in and stretching up to the ceiling, which is activating the muscle as we stretch it. So in that lying position, you could do your straight leg stretch, or you could do the bend knee in and reach up towards the ceiling and hold. So they're your basic hamstring stretches that you could do on a day-to-day basis before you get out of bed. Okay. If you happen to be somebody that is sitting at work and you're seated in a chair all the time, a basic stretch would be take the leg forward so it's stuck out in front of you and just tip forward at the chest. Okay, so you're doing it when you're stretching. Instead of sitting with your feet underneath you, you just extend the foot out and place it on the floor, and then that is taking you into a tip. Okay, that way you're getting your hamstring stretch. So if you're sat at work and you're doing your computer, you do it down there, or whatever it is, if you're reading or watching telly, wriggle forward, stretch the hamstring. Just be careful that you don't curl. Keep the chest high, and that will stretch your hamstring. Take the leg in, stretch the other one out, tip forward. If you are very, very tight, that might be enough for you. Okay, and then we're going to cover some standing hamstring stretches. So if I come around to the side here, if I'm standing and I'm holding on to something, I can take my foot forward. If I just turn side on again, I'm just going to tip at the waist. So I take my body from here, I slide my foot forward, I have my toe in the air, and I'm just tipping forward these are similar to those that we would do if we were starting to do those more active stretches, but we'd get the tip and it's forward from the waist. Okay. Some of the other ways that people might do it is they might come around, I come to the side here so you can see, and have their leg up on a block. Okay. If you have a really, really tight hamstring, I don't know if you can see that little block I've just put on the floor, but I might just put my heel on the step, and that might be enough. That might be enough for me to feel there. I might take it into a tip. And again, I want to keep my chest high because if I curl, I lose the stretch behind the back. So again, if I turn side on for you guys here, I'll put my step, hopefully, but you might be able to see it. If I put my heel on the step and I curl, I'm not actually stretching my hamstring at all. I want to think of my tail and my leg long, and I want to tip at the waist like I'm doing a waiter's bow. As that gets easier, I might change the height. And then I might change the height again and have it somewhere higher so I have my leg up and tip. I might actually have it where I can get my leg, and I'm quite long in my hamstring here, so I might be able to get my leg up on a high thing. Same again, now I don't want to curl, I want to stay nice and tall. So the aim is to work out where your range is with your hamstring and then stretch in that range. So for those of you with slightly shorter hamstrings, you're going to find sitting and having it low and working up is going to be easier. For those of you that have more flexible hamstrings and you have more length, you're going to want something a bit higher that you can get your leg on. For those of you, and I'm an ex-skater, don't know if you're going to see if I do it that way, let me have a go. We'll have a play. I'm just going to turn this computer around a minute for you. So I'm an ex-skater, so my hamstring should be a little bit more flexible, hopefully, if it's still got its time. We might do our hamstring where we're here, and I'm stretching this hamstring now, and I can slide back. So it's more like it's stretching it into a split position. So it depends on how your range is. There is one more one that I did actually want to show you. So just bear with me while I just get the stick. And this one here, is really, really easy and basic. And it is aimed at standing and being able to get length. You'll need a stick and you need to tip forward from the waist. Okay? Now, the stick is in contact, change hands here. The stick is in contact with the back of my head, the back of my shoulder. If I turn slightly, you can see I have a small gap in my waist and it's between my butt cheeks. I'm going to reach forward and keep my back and my tail in contact, and I'm able to stretch and feel the stretch in my hamstrings, and I come all the way up. So my pivot of movement is my hip, and I'm moving at the hip. Now if I curl, what will happen is the stick comes away and I lose contact in my lower pelvis area. So I want the stick to stay between my butt cheeks and I go as far as I can. If I cheat, the stick comes away from my butt cheeks and I'm just doing my curl. This is one of the basic stuff I do with our clients, especially if you struggle, especially if you're finding that it's really hard for you to isolate where you are. It's really hard for you to work out where is your hamstring, how do you do it, what's working, what's not working. So with all of those that you've done, or that I've shown you today, there's the hamstring stretches sitting, leg out. There's lying or leg up if you're out. There's lying and you've got your leg in the air. There's standing and you put your leg up. There's tipping. There's a myriad of ways that you can stretch your hamstring. To be honest, the incidental ones are the ones that are going to get you most bang for your buck. So if you're doing your stretches for a few minutes at night, great, but during the day, do a stretch. If you're standing in the supermarket or you're able to rest on the counter, you can stretch that way. If you're able to, when you're doing your teeth in the morning, and you can put your foot up on the bath and stretch your teeth or brush your teeth at the same time, as long as you've got the balance for it. If you're about, and every now and then you can stretch and do a little bit so you get that range through your hamstring, just getting used to those tissues moving so they're not constantly tight. They get used to stretching and moving and stretching and moving, and during the day they then get the idea that that's how I should function, and that's what I do. But if you're just stretching twice a week, like, yeah, okay. But if you're stretching and they start getting the idea, well, actually I'm supposed to move, I'm supposed to function, and as they stretch and as they get used to doing it, they're also getting stronger in that range, and they're getting more used to that range, so that they're functioning out here instead of functioning in here all the time. So you're going to have strength out here, which means that you're not going to be as injured. So when you do your kick, it's actually used to being there. It's not used to being down here because that's all it does all day. As the leg extends, the hamstring goes, oh yeah, I know I need to work to come back, rather than my hamstring's only done this and I kick a ball and it goes ping. And that's what happens. We're doing stuff and we're running and we're trying to power and use muscles that are actually behind, and the glute work and the hamstring work into extension, where all the time we work them in a flexed position. So those muscles have no idea how to work back here at power. And again, that's why they ping when people think, I'll just go for a run now. I haven't run for a while, but my hamstring's feeling like crazy. Anyway, I digress. Stretch your hammies. The one thing that we are finding, certainly from being a physio for 30 years, is definitely one thing that we're seeing is noticeably different, especially in the youth today, especially in our clients that are coming in earlier and earlier, and we're talking early, like 8, 9, 10-year-olds, early teens who are struggling with back pain. And part of that is their hammies are tight and they just don't know how to function in extension. Take care. We are on day 7 tomorrow, so we're here for Thursday and Friday this week. And tomorrow we'll take it a little bit further up into pecs. So again, we're following some of that posture theme. So tomorrow will be pecs. Actually, why don't we do pecs and upper back? We'll do pecs and upper back tomorrow. And then Friday we'll do head and shoulders. But thank you for joining me, and we'll see you tomorrow.